Well, welcome back to another episode of Fox Sports Lab NRL. Pleased to say Josh Morris is alongside me. Josh, a huge round three, lots of injuries to get through, and that's going to play a big part in round four.
Yeah, it was a weekend of carnage. Plenty of players going down this week, and I actually think it affects some of my tips this week. Hence the gravity of those injuries. So there was some good footy played, particularly the Roosters. They looked outstanding. I'm sure they'll firm as some premiership favourites as we get on throughout the year.
Well, let's start with the Roosters because they're hosting the Premiers on Thursday night at Allianz Stadium. Panthers $2.38. You'd have to say that would go down to the fact that no Nathan Cleary for the next couple of weeks. But there's injuries across the park with the Roosters. They're firm favourites here.
Yeah, I think that's purely on the back of Nathan Cleary's injury, but they also don't have Scott Sorensen and James Fisher-Harris as well, three of their grand final stars. Brad Snyder makes his debut for the club, and Maverick Guy, the son of MG, following in his dad's footsteps, he gets his club debut for the Panthers. Look, I think the Roosters, the way they played last week and the way that they've started off this season, I'm tipping them in this one. I just think there's too many injuries in the Panthers side to key players, and I just like what the Roosters have been doing at Allianz as well. They've got a really good record there, so I've lent with the Roosters in this one.
Well, we will get your big tip because you got quite a big call on that Roosters-Panthers matchup, which we'll get to in a moment. But next up, we've identified as the Broncos and the Cowboys. This is a Queensland rivalry. I mean, it's a flip of the coin in terms of the betting market because the Broncos are $1.98 and the Cowboys are $1.83.
Yeah, it is, but the same thing. Injuries
Yeah.
to Broncos. Obviously, Adam Reynolds comes back in, and he's such an important part of that side. But no Reece Walsh, no Payne Haas. They're two best players, obviously, in the forwards and the backs. The Cowboys, look, they had a bit of a struggle against the Dragons, but they showed their resilience and come away with a massive victory. I just really like what the Cowboys are doing. It's a local derby. So that'll always bring out that rivalry. I still think this will be a close game, and we've seen in the past a number of these clashes go into either golden point or be won by a field goal. We might see that again this week, but I'm leaning to the Cowboys in this one. I just think the loss of Haas and Reece Walsh is too big for the Broncos to cover.
Yeah, certainly big shoes to fill there for the Broncos. Up next, the Warriors taking on the Knights. Warriors $1.44, Knights $2.80. Although they did record they got back on the winner's circle last week for the Knights. For the Warriors too, they were back in the winner's circle. So I would expect this to be closer.
Yeah, look, I would too, but the Warriors, they had a good win, but the Knights, they obviously beat Melbourne, an under-strength Melbourne, who almost got them in the end. For the Warriors, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is back at fullback, so I can't wait to see that.
Massive.
Adam Poppy comes back into the centres, but the big one for me is Wade Egan. He's back into the team. The way he controls the ruck and brings the forwards onto the balls. And Murata Niokore is in as well. He hasn't played since last year, so massive ins for the Warriors there. I don't really like tipping against the Warriors at home. It's such a hard place to go over there and win. So for that reason, that I'm tipping the Warriors in that one.
Up next, the Eels taking on the Tigers. Obviously, a huge win last round for the Tigers at Leichhardt. That was phenomenal scenes. Eels $1.47. They're still the heavy favourites here, but no Mitch Moses. I mean, we talk about injuries, and this is one of the biggest that came out of round three.
Yeah, it is, and he'll be out for a number of weeks, obviously, with that foot injury. And for me, I really loved what the Tigers did last week. On the back of Abby Coruscant, I thought their forwards really muscled up against the Sharks forwards, and their young outside backs, they carried the ball with plenty of venom and got them up the field into positions, and they were able to come up with plenty of points against the Sharkies. So I actually am tipping the Tigers in this one for the upset. I think the loss of Mitchell Moses is huge for the Eels. His kicking game is so good. I consider him one of the top three halfbacks in the game alongside Daly Cherry Evans and Nathan Cleary. Makasivo's back, but then they have Dylan Brown in control of the halves now, and they've got the young Blaze Talangi playing 5'8". He played centres last week. I'm not sure how he will go. I just think the confidence that the Tigers got from their win, if they can use that as their foundation and the way that they play, well, then I think there's no reason why they can't beat the Eels on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. Tigers fans would love to hear that. They're right behind you on that one, Josh. Well, let's get into, I guess, a wrap up of round 4 and quickly get through some of your tips and also to that massive call that you're making. We'll start with the Roosters and the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm tipping the Roosters in that one, Eloise.
And it's what, 13 plus? What are we going for the line?
Yeah, well, that's the big call there. I think the Roosters, they have scored plenty of points. They've scored 110 points in their past 3 games at Allianz. No Cleary, no James Fisher-Harris, no Scott Sorensen, a lot of youngsters in there. I think the Roosters, they haven't beaten them for a long time, but I think they will beat Penrith, and I think they'll beat them well. I'm tipping them 13 plus in this one, Eloise.
That is huge. Up next, we've got the Rabbitohs taking on the Bulldogs, a great rivalry.
Yeah, this one, you throw form out the window in this one. Good Friday, always spiteful clashes. I played in plenty of these. Doggies, 32-0 win over the Titans. The Rabbits, we thought they'd be up for the Roosters games. If they can't get up for a Good Friday game, they don't deserve to win. I'm tipping the Doggies in this one.
Broncos taking on the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm tipping the Cowboys there purely on the back of no Walsh, no Payne Haas, but I think it'll be a close one.
Heading down to the Gong for the next one, the Dragons hosting Manly.
Yeah, look, I really don't like what I'm seeing out of the Dragons. I thought they'd bounce back after that big loss the week before, but the Cowboys were too strong. Manly, very unlucky not to get a win against the Eels, so I'm going for Manly in this one.
Absolutely. Next one, we have the Titans taking on the Dolphins.
Yeah, another massive injury for the Titans here with no Tino. He's out for the year. Jaden Campbell comes back in. David Fifita possibly in. The Dolphins coming off a bye. They're fresh after their big win against the Dragons. I like the Dolphins in this one.
Who do you like in this?
And I think they're 13 plus, to be honest. I think the Titans, they're in a hole at the moment. So, yeah.
Another big 13 plus call, the Titans and the Dolphins. Up next, the Warriors hosting the Knights.
Yeah, I've tipped the Warriors in this one, Eloise. I think they're too hard to beat at home. And they've got some big ins with Wade Egan, Murata Niokore, and Roger moving back to fullback, which I can't wait.
Yeah, me too. Up next, Sharks hosting the Raiders.
Yeah, I've gone for the Raiders here. I think there's just too many outs for the Sharkies. They've lost Toby Rudolph, Dale Finucane, and Royce Hunt. I just think in the forwards they are very, very light on, and that will tell on the weekend. I think Canberra will drag them into that nitty-gritty wrestle. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little lingering injury over Nico Hines as well. So I've tipped the Raiders in that one.
Keep your eye on that for sure. And lastly, but not least, Eels hosting the West Tigers. West Tigers fans can't wait to hear this one.
Yes, I didn't say this too much last year, Eloise, but I am tipping the Tigers on the back of what they did last week. They've set a good foundation there. They've got some exciting youngsters coming in, and their skipper, Api Coruscant, he was everywhere last week. So if he plays like that again this week, I think the Tigers can get the chocolates on Easter Monday.
Oh, I love it. Can't wait. Such a great round when it's the Easter long weekend. Josh Morris, thanks so much for your time. As always, we'll chat next week.
Thanks, Eloise.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.